Hello everybody, and welcome back to the NLC. We had a bit of a hiccup there, but we have a very important announcement to make, so watch this video, you do not want to miss this. Well, give us a minute while we work on some technical stuff here. But again, very important week in the NLC coming around here. We have the super important final week here in terms of figuring out who's going to get that final playoff place here in the NLC. Ruddy Norton natives, they're all Ruddy Verdant natives are all locked into playoffs. We're still figuring out whether or not Domino and North, those are the most likely options for that final playoff spot here. But Ruddy are locked into third. Natives and Verdant can technically still switch around in that first and second position, depending on whether or not either team fails to go 2-0 this week. And with that in mind, let's take a look at that video.
Buckle up! Big changes are coming to the NLC grassroots system, and here is a full rundown of what is coming. The Northern League Championship, commonly known as the NLC, covers the northern part of European League of Legends and feeds into the prestigious EMEA Masters Tournament system. The NLC combines Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Malta, Ireland and the United Kingdom into one ecosystem, and now the grassroots scene is getting a revamp. Today the NLC consists of 4 divisions. Moving forwards, divisions 3 and 4 are dissolved and will move back into a national system spread out over the 5 sub-regions of Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway and the United Kingdom and Ireland. Fear not, Iceland and Malta, you're not forgotten. Players from these 2 countries can freely roam as residents in all 5 sub-regions. Each sub-region will be operated by a trusted local tournament organiser. Maybe you recognise any familiar faces. National competition is a part of our region's roots, and now it's back to revive the spark and thrill of national rivalries that we used to love. Hold on though, that's not all. In addition to the national leagues, a brand new NLC ladder will see the light of day. On the NLC ladder, teams can join at any point during the split and compete. By challenging other teams to a match and winning, teams can rack up points and climb the leaderboard, taking all of the best parts of your ranked ladder experience with your team straight into the NLC ecosystem. Look out for more information about the ladder system later this year. Now onto the part that all sub-regional teams are fighting to reach, the NLC Regional Promotional Series. The NLC RPS is an interface between NLC Division 2, as we know it, and the new national leagues. At the end of each split, each national league sends 2 champions to the NLC RPS. The national leagues will be joined by the 2 bottom teams from the NLC Division 2, as well as the top 2 teams of the NLC ladder. Come out as one of the 2 winners and your team has secured a spot in the NLC Division 2 for the coming split. The rest will return to their respective national leagues. With all of these new implementations, the competitive year will be divided into 3 splits for our sub-regions: spring, summer and autumn. The NLC Divisions 1 and 2 will continue as we know it, with the spring and summer split. While the national leagues will play in spring alongside the Aurora Cup in autumn, the NLC ladder will be active for all 3 splits. Due to the imbalance, the NLC RPS will only run for the spring and autumn splits, meaning the NLC ladder summer split won't allow entrance. We hope you like what you saw and are eager to learn more about the coming months. The NLC grassroots system kicks off in autumn 2023, so get your squad together and prepare for the national leagues. We'll see you on the Rift.
And now, to discuss this great news, I have 3 great casters joining me here on the show. So let's bring them in here. I have Aragon, Foxtrot, and Hiprain. So long have we waited. Regional leagues finally reactivated Hiprain. You were one of the first people to know about this. You were the one's voice that we heard in this lovely, lovely video. Give us your initial thoughts on this.
Very happy. I've said a lot that I've been around in the league for a while. One of the things about the NLC initially, back on the DreamHack era, that I loved was the fact that we were still kind of staying true to the individual regions while having like a mega region in the NLC. Last year, that kind of got undone and thrown by the wayside. Change I was pretty vocal about behind the scenes. I really didn't like it, but it is what it is on that front. It was a canon event. I then think, as we got into this year, I was excited to see what leagues we're going to do with the league. they've kind of put us back into what we had when we were running by underneath DreamHack. And I think this is such a great way to go. I think a lot of the regional leagues are going to get some love for this. I think you also, what you kind of also not just looking at is it's not just a breeding ground for like talent in the sense of like players, but it also, you know, all these leagues, like obviously the Leagues GG who are running the UK scene, not Leagues GG, that's us. Oh God, I've forgotten their name now.
UKEL?
UKEL, thank you. I feel like companies like UKEL, you know, this gives them a new kind of lease of life because, you know, with the grassroots kind of being scrapped for the last year and a half, they've not really had much to survive on. So it's nice to see, you know, these guys now getting the efficient and the official stamp of recognition, and are now going to represent all of their individual leagues.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the sentiment shared by pretty much everybody on this desk here. So let's get into today's show here as well. So start off by looking at the team of the week from last week. I believe we have that here, and that was Natives. They had a great week last week, Aragon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, they're just looking like the best team in the league. I do think, though, that they had some shaky meta reads. This is something that I'll bring up throughout the entire day. I think last week was not indicative of our league's strength, because you had teams like Natives, you know, getting challenged by, I think it was Fourth Wall, right? Which is a bit weird because Natives look super, super dominant. But I think that's a big part of that is the fact that we were on 13.13 pretty early and we didn't have anyone to look up to, like the LPL or the LEC at the time.
What's interesting as well is that the title of best team in the league, we're never going to be able to actually see that because Natives and Verdant, who would obviously be the other challenger for the title, they're done. They've played each other. They're finished. All their games between each others are done. Verdant actually has a 2-0 versus Natives, but that was then, right? That was then. So even if Natives is the best team now, we're yet to see it, which makes it quite exciting coming into playoffs. So like, we don't know what to expect between those top teams.
Yeah, so let's look at the games we have on lock here today. And we're going to be starting off with Domino versus Verdant. Then we have Nord versus Veneer. That's going to be our match of the day. Then we have 4-4 versus Ruddy Esports and Natives versus Unique here in Aragon. Domino and Nord are like the two teams to really look out for in terms of the standings, right? Those are the two teams currently battling it out for the final playoff spot.
Yeah, and I'm definitely looking more at Nord. Honestly, I think Domino have been shaky the entire split long, picking up games. I think the meta has shifted in favor of them. More Lee Sin, you know, for Shackle. Lee Sin's really infamous by now. LeBlanc being extremely good still for Clover. He popped off on it last week. I think they've got that going for him. But in terms of raw team play, I think Nord edges it out.
It's going to be close regardless, isn't it, right? Like, there's a whole bunch of teams in that last playoff spot fighting for it, so you know, there's one spot and there's like 3 or 4 teams who are looking to get it, so it's going to be tight either way.
I think what's interesting about like today's games is on a quick look over it is I feel like a lot of the games that individually aren't that exciting. I think, you know, some of the games are kind of maybe easier to call, but it's the implications going into tomorrow because there's so many teams who are very close to one another. There's still a battle for first going on between Verdant and Natives, and yes, one of those teams does have the head-to-head advantage over the other. I've closed that tab, so I've completely forgotten which one it is. But you know, for these guys, they are playing for first right now, and as crazy as it is, if Unique get a win over Natives, that could actually just change the tide of first place. While Natives, they're locked into playoffs regardless. They're locked into first or second, and if they lose to Unique or, you know, any of the teams that they're playing versus they got coming up, it could just change the entire playoffs. So it's going to be fun to see, you know, who's going to play upset. I feel today's the upset day. Tomorrow's the day where actually things do look quite tight.
Worth noting here, it's worth noting here, guys, that we do also have a little bit of a battle for first in our own region. I mean, not so much involving you guys, but it involves me. So well, I hear that we cannot get that screen on you guys, but that's probably a good thing for you, Aragon, specifically, because I know Hiprain has been battling to get the lowest score possible, and he's almost catched up to you, right? He's almost caught up to you. Hiprain, I want like a quick reaction on that situation happening right now. Like, how bad would you feel if you were Aragon?
I'd feel goddamn terrible, bro. Like, man, it's an embarrassment, dude. Yeah. I'm deliberately trying to score low. And I'll put it out there. I actually don't know what I predicted today because I kind of forgot to file my predictions, so someone did it for me. But if somehow I overtake you today, I'm gonna be wetting myself, man. It's gonna be so funny. I mean, look at him. He's so upset. He's so upset by it.
Look. Okay, so my predictions didn't start out the best. And then I started, doubling down on trying to find these like niche potential wins that no one else was voting for. And it was kind of a catastrophe, right? It just kept landsliding down and chaining. So nothing to say, really. Kind of an unfortunate split.
I think that's the first fun thing about this, right? Is the fact that you didn't really get to do your predictions, but I think that not a single color caster is like currently beating a play-by-play or something like that. Like also, we don't count you. We don't count you, Hipbrain.
This split has been hard. I won't lie.
You're kind of like playing your own game, Hipbrain, right? So like we don't really count you in here. But yeah, I think that's kind of an interesting one as well. But like we are getting closer and closer to the first match of the day here. That is going to be Domino versus Verdant. And as you guys were talking about here, Verdant needs to win to guarantee first play, lock it in. No cigar right there. But Domino, very, very rough game to start off with here, Foxtrot, in terms of getting that final playoff spot in their favor.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, like, against the first place team in the league, you have an excuse if you're not able to win, right? So hopefully it won't mental boom you coming into tomorrow if you do drop a game here, because that's obviously really important. Like, if you are looking to secure that final playoff spot, you kind of have to. I mean, you kind of want. It's just so tight. You can't even afford to drop this game, which sucks. You don't want to be in a position where you're against the best team in the league and it's like a must-win game. But I kind of feel like that's the situation that Domino find themselves in, especially as Aragon said. He doesn't like Domino's favor, right? And I reckon this is probably the reason, because they're up against Verdant, right? And it's going to be really difficult for them to win this game. But it's the best of one. Anything can happen, and yeah, it's going to be difficult. But I think if they can maybe have an answer for Nile in the top side, not have to worry about that too much, then it's doable. It's definitely doable, and Domino can surprise us.
And I want to put this to you, Aragon, as well, right? Because Foxtrot mentions the top lane, and I think the top lane is super interesting when you look at these two teams in particular, right? Because you're looking at Spuda, you're looking at Nile, as Foxtrot was talking about, two top laners that play very well when they get to play strong sides. Like, what should we expect? Because you're talking about some weaker meta reads last week. Like, where is the meta shifting this week?
Okay, so as far as top lane, I'll address the top lane point first. Yes. I do think I completely agree with you. It's a highlight role, right? You have Spuda being, double 1k LP challenger top laner, and he's looked really damn good. So much improvement since last split as well. And then you also have Nile, who we know is a brilliant carry player as well, right? And last week he popped off on the Fiora, for example. I think the reality is it might not be super volatile. We might get quite a quiet top side. If we are going to be playing meta, it's going to be more about these priority picks in the mid, jungle, and bot lane with stuff like the Rel, the Ivan, the Tristana, and the Kai'Sa, and top lane will take a little bit of a seat back.
Oof.
That's top lane. Yeah. That's top lane, bro. Like, a relevant role at the moment. Have fun.
At the moment.
I think it's been irrelevant since, like, last time I played top lane was relevant was like Season 4 World Championship when like Triforce All-Star was permaban, or was that 2013?
The thing with top lane, right, is that it's always irrelevant, and then you get someone who breaks the rule, right? So
yeah.
the Shy is one. Bin recently at MSI, if you saw that, he kind of broke that rule as well. But they're so few and far between that, generally speaking, it's an irrelevant role.
In fairness, I will say that it has been revitalized a little bit recently, right? We're seeing more carry picks, stuff like the Renekton, stuff like the Rumble, really, really shooting up a priority. And I really hope that the teams actually adapt, because we didn't get a single Rumble pick last week, which was crazy, because this champion is probably the best top laner on the patch. So yeah. I really hope, that these teams have adapted compared to last week, where it was kind of a shambles because no one had anyone to look up to copy.
Yeah, I think that's been the major issue that we've had, is because we are first to play on the patch whenever we get one, so we are a little bit slower to adapt because we're first on the patch, because the NLC isn't an overly kind of inventive league. I think, we have our niche picks, and we have like certain things that do show up. I always kind of cast my mind back to like Poppy as a top lane pick, which, we were a region that were playing Poppy and Urgot for a while, like way before anybody else was. And when it became meta, our top laners were actually really cracked because they've been playing it off meta.
That was him.
Was it you, Aragon?
Yeah,
were you?
Yeah.
Really?
I was around in Season 8 when the Urgot meta came out. It was Urgot Scion, and I picked it up very quickly, and then it got permabanned, and it was very sad because I was crutching on it a little bit. Tangent.
I was thinking Curb, I'm not going to lie. I was definitely thinking of Kerberos as the Urgot guy, because he put that at the first EU Masters, and nobody was prepared for that one.
I have a very important announcement to make. Keep your ears listen. We are ready for picks and bans.
Alrighty, let's go. See what we got. Alrighty, so bans are already pretty much done. I mean, entirely done. The Tristana, the Maokai, the Kai'Sa, the Olaf, the Gragas, and the Cassante all banned away here. Going over that Rumble, like you were talking about, has been left open. I don't know if it's first pickable, but it's definitely something that these teams want to be playing with in the back of their mind. What is first pickable right now? Where is the attention going to be?
It's Rel. Rel has to be first. Please, guys, I need to stop seeing Rel LeBlanc as well. LeBlanc is good, but it's going to be like a handshake. Rel is so unbelievably broken, and this is like a PSA. Please, please, please stop. Like last week, we saw teams get Rel Kai'Sa together. Rel, just in general, is one of the probably like because it's a flex support and jungle. It just has no counters and has some of the best engages in the game. So I need to see which team picks this up. It's going to be game
that's
decisive.
such a nasty combo.
Nah, surely they don't get both of these sat down. Okay, yeah, well. He talks about power picks on the patch, Rumble being the top lane. Nile is such a strong top laner as well. The thing is, for Verdant, you said Rel can be a good flex pick. Taxa is like great on these kind of champions, so it's not just a strong flex pick, it is very much a strong Verdant flex pick as well. So yeah, already this is looking kind of tougher for Domino right here. See if they have an answer for specifically for the top side of the map. I'm not really convinced like Ornn is it, to be honest. Like I'm not saying it's a terrible pick into the Rumble, but it's just you're constantly going to concede pressure in that top side. You obviously can't play around top side at all. Spood is just being put on, you know, absorbing. Yeah, it's I just feel like Nile is under like zero pressure at this point, and that's often a recipe for disaster considering what Nile can do and what we've seen him do so far in NLC.
Yeah, I will say we've seen like almost this identical draft come out in the LEC the past few days, where you have the Rumble Rel combo. I believe it was XL who locked it in. Rel would go in, engage, pull everyone together, and then Rumble would lay a red carpet on them, right? It was really disgusting. And we also saw the top lane matchup. And since Rumble can get something like 30% magic shred with the harpoons, and then now the Q does percentage health damage instead of flat damage, he really destroys tanks. He's like a pure anti-tank AP champion. So yeah, Spooder really got the back end of this matchup, I think.
Yeah, I think you always kind of expected once that Rumble to get locked in, there was probably just going to be some kind of a wave clear top laner, someone who can, you know, play for the team later. The Kindred pick's interesting. You have a very strong jungle mid kind of 2v2 that can look to set up around the map, even early. I know Kindred is looked at as kind of like a scaling champion, but you pair that up with a LeBlanc, and it's still very, very strong in that sense. Obviously, you have the protection as well from that big wombo combo. Stops you from getting one shot. The question is what's going to stop you from getting killed once the ult is worn off. We are now looking towards that second ban phase, though, as the Jace was the final pickup here for the side of Verdant. The Heimerdinger is going to get banned away from Verdant here. Moving over now to Domino as they're looking to make their next ban. I wonder where that tension's going to go, because I feel like they probably just look for uncomfortable jungle matchups if they really worry about that, but they're actually a little bit more focused on taking away more poke ADCs because that Jace is locked in. They don't want Jace Ezreal against them. That is really, really nasty.
And they also don't know where this Rel's going yet. It's still flexed. You know, like they can't ban junglers away in case Vendel slaps it down in the bot side, or in case Taxa, you know, picks it up, sorry, I should say. But like, you just don't know. You just don't know where the role's going, which is why it's not surprising that Domino are having to ban ADCs here, because that's the only role that you know hasn't been pinched so far. So there's like 4 ADCs actually being banned away, which is quite significant. You expect here that it's what I think is Blink. You know, Aphelios is so open, and Blink loves Aphelios. I know it's not quite as strong, you know, currently, but we've seen teams in NLC still fall back to it. Xayah, I was going to say, is another one, but there you go. Xayah's going to be slapped down from Verdant, and I think Xayah works really well with Rel too. So it's kind of just like a tough situation here for Domino, how they're going to round out their draft in the bot side of the map.
I think it's really nice. I think now you have to pick away Rakan if you're Domino, and then for R5 counter pick, you can counter as Verdant with something like a Nautilus or a Leona potentially, right? I think that would be a really nice way to round it out. It doesn't look like they're going to go that way. Instead, what they have open to them is actually the Braum into the Naut, which is a good matchup, and also you can block the Ornn R, right? That's a really good isolated mechanic too. Wouldn't be surprised to see this come out here.
That is
what
true.
the final pick's going to be here. Obviously, looking towards an ADC to go on Blink. I very much doubt we're going to have Kindred ADC. It's been a hot minute since I've seen that one. So many AD carries have been banned away. I mean, I think you kind of nailed it there, Foxy, in taking away the Aphelios, picking that up for Blink. He loves that champion. with the pool thinned this much, it seems like a pretty decent one. Obviously, we don't know if the rail's flexing, so they could lock in a jungler here as well on the side of Verdant. Or if you want to, you could just go for that Braum like you were talking, Aragon. So honestly, Verdant, they have a little bit of an open book they can play here, and it's now time to round out this comp. Actually going to be locking in that Poppy, so expect to see the Poppy in the jungle, and then that Rel going to the bot lane there with Gooby on the Xayah. All right, initial thoughts. I think we were very scared about the Rel Rumble combo. Do you feel like this draft is just shaped more and more in Verdant's favor? Or do you feel that, like, actually, Domino, they've been able to salvage this?
Go ahead, Foxy.
I don't know. I feel like Verdant's kind of got everything they want right here, and there aren't a lot of answers on Domino's side. So, yeah, I think this is a pretty big draft dub for Verdant, in my opinion. I think this probably pick makes sense too, because it actually turns one of the most slippery champions in the game in LeBlanc into very attackable and gankable. Like that steadfast presence, you cannot distortion out of that. And also Kindred, you know, she can't hop around inside Poppy's W either, which is not only like gap closer for her, but a lot of her damage too in that queue, right? So
yeah,
it's a solid pick, and Verdant just have a lot of tools, a lot of ways to make it happen, good combos as well, and it's looking pretty good if you're a Verdant fan.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think, I don't know, I just think their draft looks outdated, not Verdant's, Domino's. I do think that they have such, like, Verdant has the Jace poke win condition and outranging the Aphelios as a win condition. Also, you could just drop a Rumble on his head, right? This is the problem I have with it. On top of Aphelios being, you know, generally weaker, I'm not the biggest fan of it here. I do think, though, that Domino does have a win condition in, like, full oneing, where you play LeBlanc with side lane and that static Shiv, and, you know, you fake pressure these dragons, you know, stuff like this, the typical 12 CS a minute LeBlanc static Shiv side lane gameplay. If they can pull that off well, maybe that's their win condition. But base value, I think that Verdant have this.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing to talk about, is the fact there is still a condition for Domino. I think also on the other side, though, you do have to kind of look at what Aragon was saying at the beginning of the day. Domino have kind of been a little bit disappointing this split, and Aragon has been on the Domino copium for most of the season, constantly saying, today's the day, this is the week they'll come back, and they have kind of struggled all season long. They've definitely had places where it feels like they haven't really been able to understand their draft. So I hope they can understand how to play this draft. It is obviously way harder on the side of Verdant. It's that old phrase that we used to say all the time, you know, the ease of execution. Verdant just kind of headbutt their keyboard and win a team fight. Yep. Well, Domino, they have to really activate their brain to be able to win this game, because it is going to be about playing around your LeBlanc in the side lane, playing around the team, and not getting caught out by, you know, by the flanks, by the headbutt keyboard comp that Verdant have put together here.
So let me inject you with some more copium, okay? last week, Domino Clover locked in. He locked in LeBlanc and he went 11-0. Okay, he managed to win out against Vanilla, who, you know, they're a mid-table team, beat out against Verdant, actually. So maybe, you know, maybe that's the source. They've really prioritized this LeBlanc for Clover. Maybe he can pull it off.
That circle. Domino beat Vanilla, who beat Verdant. There we go. Okay, I'm on board of this. Yeah. Okay. We'll see if they can get a repeat performance of that. 11-0 is definitely a high bar to try and match, but it's possible. We haven't really even talked about topside, right? I mean, you did say that Rumble was like very anti-tank, and coming into this matchup, we were very excited about the Nile into Spuda. I just think it's going to be so tough for Spuda to do anything this game. Like I can't see too much happening in the top side at all. And for Paris here, this is the difficulty, is if you don't have control of your top sides, which you're not going to have any control in that matchup. You don't have control in mid either, most likely. Jay should be able to do some good things there as well. How do you put pressure to get your marks? How do you scale as Kindred? It's going to be so difficult for you to do that, to get the invades. Like after the first mark on the crab, all the others are going to be in the enemy jungle, and if you don't have any lane pro, if you don't have control of the lanes, then that's going to be so difficult to do, and that could really, really inhibit what this Kindred can do going into the mid game.
And I want to just highlight that a bot lane is probably going to be the volatile lane here, right? I could imagine we're probably going to see a lot of trading. Flashes forced by Wendell. You could see Rel hovering in this middle bush here. It's really, really common because she could just march out of there when she gets her E. By the way, most broken ability in the game. It's like a mini Shirelios. She can just sprint out of there. But I imagine early with trading like this, you hit the condition. right? You attack their mana bar, their health bar, their potions, and you force the flashes, and that way you set up ganks for your jungler. Kindred is pathing down to bot side. Let's see if he can make anything happen.
Yeah, we'll be looking towards that for now. Obviously, like we expected, mid lane probably going to be fairly chill. Clover going to struggle in the lane initially. Once that static shiv comes in, the lane just becomes completely neutralized at that point. But it does look like we are getting back to game in a second. I did see that pause timer counting down, so we'll get into that. But I think, yeah, the initial tension is going to be on this Kindred. You know, they are clearing down. Are they going to play towards that volatile lane, or are they going a little bit more focused on getting that first mark? There's so many questions in the air. It's been a while since I've seen a Kindred as well in competitive, off the top of my head. I'm trying to think when the last time I saw it.
I think it was one last week. I think
recently
it's been yeah.
It's
To
a long
be fair,
time.
there wasn't much league getting watched last week.
When Jake's sitting through 4-hour tattoo sessions and wishing every second was just agony, and a week is a long time in that context. So yeah, it's Kindred. It's kind of surprising to see Kindred's in professional meta, at least in my opinion, because I think by design she's so much better in something like solo queue where it's more chaotic, you know, because in professional play, teams can play much more around denying your marks, and it's so much harder to get those marks, and Kindred is very... she likes the marks. She's really quite keen on getting them, so... It does always surprise me when we see her pop up, but yeah, she's definitely pretty strong right now, as Nile is... oh boy. Speaking of strong stuff, we can see Tax is heading topside as well for this dive. There is a ward,
Oh, no.
so maybe Spooder spots it out. Also fighting the bottom river, there's so much stuff happening already.
It's just the top lane treatment, isn't it? Take a look at this. There is no wave, though, right? So it doesn't look like anything's going to happen. But now we've got the 50-50. Who gets the mark?
I think it's bot in it. I think Paris gets the mark. I think
I didn't
that was
see.
the mark. Yeah, I
can't
think
tell.
that was. I'm fairly certain he got a mark there. So
Oh, no, Gooby, though. This is really rough, actually, because Wendell's base was actually stopped by Clover mid lane, so they're going to easily get this off. They got the Graviton. They can just land all of the CC. Gooby pulls back the feathers. He goes down. Snarby's tanking tower shots, and he will lose his life. A 1-for-1 trade, but a plate given over, a wave lost as well. Maybe 2 waves, actually. Gooby, he loses out on that pretty hard.
yeah, and that could be the mark as well. I didn't see it, but I assume that Paris would have marked Scooby in that play. He should be at 2 marks already, which is a perfect start for him. 4 minutes into the game, especially when we were, you know, I had my reservations. Would he be able to get his marks so far this game? Like, it could be a game where it's difficult for him to stack up. Getting 2 this early, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and you could see, like, I think Wendell was trying to set some vision down, you know, to potentially contest that mark spawn if it spawned bot side. Unfortunately, it means he gets chunked out, has to back, and he's late for this dive on a slow stack, which Domino called. So really good stuff, good proactivity, using the wave states to the advantage. Whoever called that, well done.
Yeah, really smart play there. It definitely wasn't you. Really nice play there. It's interesting seeing the evolution of this LeBlanc build, the static shiv LeBlanc. Obviously, after the changes to static shiv, you have to go minion dematerializer. Dematerialize 1 of the back minions and then 2 of the front minions, and it pretty much guarantees the 1-shot on the wave. Spooder has teleported back into the lane, by the way. That is just his health back after coming back into the lane. So definitely having a bit of a rough one on that front. Down pretty heavily in the farm department, and yeah, the current state of Rumble makes the Ornn matchup pretty hard. And I'm okay with it, because I've seen Ornn just not lose lanes for way too long. So it's nice to see a champion actually able to handle him and actually out-trade him. So see what Nilly can do with this.
This is exactly what happened in the LEC. You see, he's even rushed Negatron Cloak to just try and survive the bullying and CS, but it's really unfortunate if you're Spudo, right? Because the Olaf ban serves twofold here from Verdant. You know, the Olaf counters Rumble. It's one of the counters, but Spudo also mains it, so you're just double incentivized to ban it, and then Spudo doesn't look like he has any proper answers, because realistically, there aren't many answers into Rumble. You have stuff like Riven, Tryndamere, Olaf, who these picks, they just don't exist. Right, so this champion, yeah, it's just rampant, and they're trying to patch that up with an Ornn pick, which just isn't doing that hot.
And Spooder's Gragas was banned away as well, so even the comfort he couldn't fall back onto. Snarby's gone a little bit too far here. I don't think he's going to win this trade. He was lured into a false sense of security because his jungler's around, but not close enough to help him out on that trade. It's going to be the crab taken in bot side. I have to say though, I'm impressed with Clover's ability in the mid lane. I really thought he'd be struggling a lot more than this. He's done great to kind of keep up with Jason. Not only like keep up in farm, but also just as in the prior and the tempo in mid. Like he's not just sat under his tower constantly, right, and just conceding all pressure in mid. He's actually the one that's pushing Niter in, and now they're going for this gank. The chains are going to miss, so nothing's going to happen here instead. But he's going to get that wave shoved under tower as Kindred moves to the top side.
Yeah, now he's got that noon quiver as well. Just able to clear through the wave fairly quickly, or at least do relatively decent damage to that wave. Obviously, the fleet footwork definitely helping in the lanes. Any poke you do eat from the Jace, a couple of procs, and you'll pretty much undo that and neutralize out a lot of the damage. So it's actually definitely working in the lane favor. But right now, there's that steadfast presence you were talking about as taxis over the wall and finds himself the kill. They are looking for a play on the top side. They do find the knock-up. The Ornhorn's coming in. They do have the red carpet, nearly able to dodge away. One last auto attack from Perez, and he's able to secure himself the kill. Somehow the Rumble struggles in the top side as Blink does have to be careful. Could find himself getting dove here.
Yeah, action in the top and mid lane. You can see the value of the Poppy, right? Typically, Poppy's actually banned because is a counter into this LeBlanc first pick. You pair it off with something like the Tristana or an AD mid laner, and as Blink narrowly survives a route right there. But top lane as well, really nice setup. Spooder tries to R flash to get a really, really fast flash into it, and I keep having to hold my breath as Wendell is trying to use that move speed from the E. Fortunately, Blink is going to survive, even though he has to use Ghost.
Clover's coming over. He does have that flash. He's going to go in with a second distortion. Has the chains. He needs to line them up perfectly. Wendell may just be the one to take it. Tries to jump away. The chains do connect, but there isn't the damage to follow up. And Verdant are able to get away.
I am surprised he didn't use that flash, actually. Like, you know, maybe like flash W or W flash or something like that. Like, if you use your your second distortion to close the gap, which essentially is what he did there, that's so much of your damage just gone. Like, you can double chains, you can, even if it's just a way to like pop a double mark on the Q, he lost out a lot there and actually didn't get any of the kills and any of the rewards here. It's just, my goodness, so much is happening here topside. All this fighting going down. Who got the crab in the end? I think it.
Niter has
crab,
it.
The Herald. Is Herald? Yeah. So in the end, Verdant are able to pick up the Herald as a response for Clover going bot side, and the fact that Clover didn't get anything bot is a shame in and of itself, but it meant that he did concede topside pressure, and so his team loses the Herald too. Like, I do think that's actually a pretty big whiff there for Domino to not get something bot.
So they secure the Herald, and now is a question how they're going to use it, right? You could use it mid lane to create some temp for yourself to get river control and potentially secure this dragon, or you use Herald mid again to move down into bot side as a unit. Doesn't look like they're going to use it at all, rather, and instead they're just going to farm it out and head back down to bot side. Maybe they just straight up use it down bot anyway.
Yeah, they are thinking about it, actually walking over that ward, so Blink does know this is coming on. Remember, he used both his summoner spells in that attempted dive earlier, so he is very, very easy to jump onto. Has got that turret, just get himself a couple of extra chakrams built up, and Paris is here with that ultimate in his pocket, so with the Lamb's Respite, it's going to be a very hard, probably unrealistic dive for them to take, so once again, Blink is able to survive and kind of stave off the potential massive wave crash into the dive. Feeling quite happy with that one. Taxa, though, will turn his attention towards this Hextech Dragon and pick up the first one of the game over to the side of Verdant. Honestly, I am reasonably impressed with the way that Domino have been playing this game. Yes, Verdant are ahead, but that's somewhat expected, mostly from the draft and also just from the kind of history of the teams. But Domino actually matching them pretty well early here, something I didn't expect to see.
I mean, I feel like at this point, you've lost Dragon, you've lost Herald as well. You are. I mean, they are relatively equal right here, and I do think, considering how these lanes could have gone, specifically in the solo lanes, I am in agreement with you there, Jake. Like, I do think it's gone pretty well for Domino so far. It could have been a lot worse, but you can just see the quality aside the Verdant is, because the fact that they've not been given much by Domino, but it's enough for them to have used the what they have been given to get some objectives and to really put themselves ahead in this early game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They do have that win condition though, right? So the thing is with Domino is that the weaknesses they showed last week weren't in early game. They were actually towards the mid game. As a Hex Flash might come through, it does not. I keep holding my breath because Rel is really unbelievable when it comes to engaging, guys. Still, the weaknesses they showed were actually related to cross maps. When they made a play on one side of the map, they would get picked on the other side as an engage comes down from Blink.
Yeah, they've got the chains on as well. Wendell is going to get flashed onto. They're going to follow it up with the hook there. Nice and simple. Blink finds himself the kill. And that's the power of that static shift. LeBlanc shoves out the wave real quick, can rotate around the map and set up these plays. Yes, a couple of plates were given over, so some of that gold loss on the bot side has been alleviated in the mid lane. And Spuda, who covered mid lane, is now going to lose stuff out in the top lane. So actually, overall, not particularly the greatest play there by Domino. A little bit too over-eager on those teleports around the map.
It's just, okay, we got an engage here from Spuda. I don't think too much more is going to happen from this. He's going to flash away, though. Wow, that's
paid off somehow.
I think he was just a little bit too overeager. Didn't respect the Ornn there coming back up to lane.
I'm gonna call not worth for Spuda. Even it's reactionary, right? He wants to defend the tower, but Ornn ult has a 160-second cooldown, right? It's really long. So even if you get a kill there, it's debatable. But that's never happening, right? That's just never happening. So I'm gonna call not worth. For?
This is the question, though, right? Like, there's no dragon, there's no heralds. Do you think, as long as it's still up for the objectives, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Any potential skirmish topside, any potential second Rift Herald or River fight.
Spuda gets taxied back. He's going to eat the harpoon. Interrupted by the turnaround. Actually, Taxus losing a fair amount of HP there. Spuda genuinely doing a really good job of staving off these potential dives onto him. He doesn't have the Ornn Horn. He doesn't have the flash, and there's a large wave coming in. He's being a little bit greedy by staying to try and stop this wave from falling. His team are not in the position to do anything about it, but Verdant happy with their plates, happy with the summoner spells burnt. And now, it looks like there may be a potential play happening here on the bottom side of the map as Wendell's getting jumped onto. Chain goes wide by Clover. Hex Flash forward is not going to land. Neither will the second chain. They will just try and get some damage off, but Wendell sucks into 3. Nita actually misses his Q onto multiple members as the carpet goes down. Blink's losing way too much HP. Clover jumps over the wall as Blink is losing so much health. Gets himself the Midnight Vigil for a whole bunch of health back. There's the ultimate from the Lamb's Respite to keep Nile alive, but in comes Taxa, and down goes Domino. 2 for 1.
That was brilliant. Absolutely perfectly collapsed there from Verdant. And what an ultimate from Nile. That red carpet in the choke point was just disaster for Domino. I get the idea, right? I get the idea. Taxa just showed topside. They tried to make a play, and as Aragon was saying, like it was their cross maps that were their weakness in the weeks previously, and that was a good cross map play, but it was a little bit too slow. Nita read it perfectly. He was already around the blue buff area when the dive started. It was just not great in the end there for Domino. Really, really well read from Verdant.
Yeah, just that's brutal. But just highlighting the power of the Rumble into the Aphelios, which is why I immediately had my doubts about picking the Aphelios in the first place, right? You just get an ult dropped on your head. It's like how Ziggs is a counter, right? Because you just get outranged and you can't hit, and you have to spend all your tools retreating. Regardless, Rift Herald spawning now. Let's see who contests this and why. I imagine Verdant are going to want to contest this, albeit they're a bit slow on the map.
Yeah, Domino have already rotated over, so they should just be able to start this one up. Snappy's going to make sure they have complete vision control. And honestly, looking at the position, I think Taxa's realized this is just going to have to be a lost cause. He'll deny the mark. He can look towards that dragon spawning in 20 seconds time and hopefully try and snowball towards a different avenue and a different win condition. But Domino, very quick on that Rift Herald, will be able to just plop it down to the mid lane if they want, and they could look to start a fight here as in comes the Ornn Horn. The chains are onto Wendell. If they could just keep him locked down, that's going to be rough. Clover's interrupted on his W, but it doesn't matter. Spuda finds himself the kill. Rift Herald summoned in the mid, and this is just going to be a tower going very low, if not down here. Gooby has to be so careful. Pulls the feathers back onto multiple people. Hook comes in. Gooby in a little bit of danger. The depth charge is going to come out. He has that feather storm. Just uses the flash instead. As down comes the hammer from the Poppy. They can't stop the charge in time, though. So second charge lands. And that's a lot of damage onto that tier 2. Domino, really proactive plays paying off for them.
I mean, what happened? Like, we kind of just blinked, and Domino suddenly just did a really, really good map play there. It was great to get the Herald. That second charge on the tier 2 as well was crazy. It didn't end up getting the dragon here, and because of reset timers, they are going to lose this dragon. So that's a bit unfortunate after they got the pick onto Wendell. I would have liked to have seen... I mean, I don't know, like, this dragon in and of itself is not that valuable to Domino right now. But the question becomes, like, you know, it's the second dragon, and then if you lose the next one, you're now on soul point, and that then puts you under so much pressure. And you don't really want to be put on that clock when you've got Kindred, when you've got Ophidio, so you want to chill out a little bit. I don't know, like, maybe that's just me, like, wanting to be a bit more risk averse, but it is the risk of not going for that dragon there.
Oh, they're jumping in on to Kindred. Lance Respite can buy some time. Knight is getting jumped onto by Clover. He gets the second chains off. The Ornhorn's flashed away. They're going to get the knock up. Gooby throws down the Featherstorm. Paris is able to survive. Spooder now eating up everything for his team. He's pulled into the wall. The CC's too much. There's no follow-up as the carpet is laid down. Goes just a little bit wide and doesn't quite get enough damage off to find the kill. Clover should be able to W away from this harpoon. And Verdant, they fire back. It's a tighter game than I expected, guys. I thought we were going to have a very one-sided affair, especially based off the draft, but a little bit of mistakes being made, a little bit of proactive and good plays being played by Domino as well here. And this game, gold lead in Verdant's pocket, but it does not feel over at all.
Ooh, I was about to say, every single fight, though, has, at the end of it, the tail end of every single fight has been Verdant favored, because they've just gotten one more turret than Domino, you know, or something like this. However, Clover just saved it by teleporting mid and actually managing to auto-attack and take that tower down in the mid lane. Taking tier 2 mid really does open up a bunch of avenues to walk in the enemy jungle, so honestly, that's a very big deal. I really like what I'm seeing. However, Verdant are one step further again on the map. They're already pushing up to the top tier 2 right now, which is a bunch of gold, potentially here to secure it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to get in range to stop this in time. Niter with his W should just shred through that. He's 3-0 on the Jace as well, so that tower is just unfortunately going to be going down. It looks like there's a potential cross-map going on here from the side of Verdant. They're quite happy to try and trade tier 2 for tier 2 on the other side of the map. They also got a mark onto their Kindred, so if they can get trade back for the tower, the net gain is in their favor, but the resets have already come in, and Nilly very close towards having that ultimate, so should just be able to clear this wave out relatively fast. And I think Domino just a little bit too slow on the cross-map, and now they're actually might be getting collapsed onto. Verdant probably done a really good job of turning this one around. Domino, they're in some serious danger. Wendell, he does have that flash. He's going to jump in with the Magnet Storm. Blink instantly blinks out. Graviton comes down to lay down some CC, but Blink is going to have to sacrifice his two teammates, as we are going to see Paris try and get the damage off onto Wendell. Can't quite finish him up. It was close, but not enough.
And one team has Rel, the other doesn't. You're going to see this as a trend today. That move speed, as she presses E, point and click, she gets up to 600 move speed. She just runs down Domino and makes the pick in the side lane. Really, really good heads-up stuff from Wendell.
It's so gross, though, as well. Like, what does Domino get in return on the top side of the map? Clover's trying his best. He's trying to get, you know, that static Shiv LeBlanc rolling in the sides here, but Verdant just so quick on pulling the trigger. Again, they're collapsing. So close.
Spooder, he absolutely messed that one up. Clover does have that flash, so he may just have to go over the wall here with the flash. Doesn't want to risk it, jumps away. And ultimately, it feels like these places are starting to get a little bit scattered. Just as I paid a compliment to Domino, it feels like they're kind of making a bunch of silly mistakes where like LeBlanc is using all of their Ws to kind of stack up the fleet footwork and the empowered auto, but then doesn't have it to get away. And your team has died bot lane, so obviously Verdant are just going to reset, come to the top side, and try and finish with Clover. A little bit of silly mistakes starting to rear their head here towards the side of Domino.
The issue here for Domino now as well is, you know, this is getting to Baron area, and they have zero control of the top side of the map, like zero vision or anything. They've got some wards in the enemy jungle, but none in the river. And if you face check, you're in so much trouble, as Wendell is going to do just this: run them down.
There's the carpet laid down. Clover's not in the fight quite yet, and they've already lost Snappy. Get the knock up onto one. Clover gets a static shiv off onto the team, and that's pretty much all they can do. Unable to do too much more. Static shiv will clear through the wave, though, but with the Nautilus down for 17 seconds, Verdant feeling comfortable to control this area. I don't think they can take this fight quite yet. They are just having a little bit of a look around what's going on. Teleport comes in as Spooder rejoins the rest of the team. Blink, summon a spellless, could be easy to catch, but is able to just move away as he needs to. Clover eats himself the empowered Q there from Niter as he's just catching the wave, making sure it can't get caught, as Blink getting jumped onto, gets away with that Gale Force away to safety, as Clover is holding the wave in the mid side, making sure that this Wave can't push up, can't keep the pressure. And Domino, for now, holding some element of control, but it is starting to get harder and harder as Verdant are just controlling so much of the map.
And that's fine. You know, Domino will take that for sure. Like, they lost Snarby. They had zero control around Baron. They lost Snarby. And they didn't lose the Nash. Like, all in all, this is fine. Just losing one kill here, it's cool. And now you've got the push to mid. Now you can maybe try to reclaim a little bit of vision. Little by little, just get something, get some eyes around this side of the map. You really don't want it to be dark around Nash. Oh my goodness, though. Clover almost forces Gooby to, like, use... Doesn't even have ult, actually.
He didn't have it. If he hit those chains, he would have died.
Yeah, that is... God, that could have been scary there. But yeah, like, you know, Domino now getting a little bit of vision around Baron. Very important for them here. Is also going to be able to pick up the dragon. So all good there. Putting a bit of a pause on the soul counter. So just buying a little bit of time here is what Domino's been able to do, and that's what they want. You know, they want Aphelios to come a bit more online. They want, you know, Kindred doesn't even have his second item. She's really not that threatening right now either. Just time is all you need at this point, and they are buying themselves time, and they're doing a good job of it.
Yeah, so what happened there was Verdant actually ran out of vision. That entire time they were desperate to try and find and engage because they would have to concede Dragon otherwise, because Wendell just ran out of wards, right? They'd spent that entire time dancing around Baron, and it looks like they're going to be doing it again. But in the end, they had to concede it because they needed to recall to refresh their vision and their wards. Now, Domino, how do you face check a Rel? You've got to face check a Rel again to make sure they are not on that Baron.
Yeah, they don't have that blue. They have got teleport on Clover. As the Hex Flash is coming over the wall. Perez is going to jump away. Good flash out to safety, but that is a summoner spell burnt for free there. The problem that Verdant have, though, is they didn't set up for Baron, and yeah, Clover in the bot lane, going to be able to take that tower. He's shoving the wave in as well. He's got a pretty large wave, can stack up with his static shiv procs, well, his fleet footwork procs, and he gets a lot of damage on that tower for free. And Verdant, they got a flash from Perez, but now the vision can get kind of recaptured here by the side of Domino. And Clover quite happily can just keep this wave shoved in as much as he needs.
Yeah.
Honestly, good stuff.
Yeah, this is the classic, right? You're playing it split push, so you're desperately trying to find an engage to punish the man disadvantage. But you miss the engage, and the enemy split push just takes your base, right? So it's the real classic macro, out-macroing from Domino, respecting that engage, despite it being incredibly difficult, because it is a rel that we keep alluding to. Really good stuff from Domino. We highlighted in Champion Select. This was how Domino had to win. They had to play the 4-1 and split push really well while respecting that engage, and they're pulling it off.
Yeah, they really are. And I mean, we're also at the point where Clover hasn't even got the Lich Bane yet, so those towers are still under some serious threat. Verdant are just trying to decide the fight. They're trying to force. They think this is going to be their best play, their best opportunity. Snubby has to be the one to face check. Spooder coming in. I don't know if they're going to be able to get in time. Here comes the Ornhorn from Spooder. Knock up lands, but no, the Featherstorm's out there. They bot back one of the members. The Baron's been secured. Wendell's low HP. They try to chase forward. In comes the flash from Bink. He's able to secure himself the kill. Gooby desperately trying to get away, keeping that chase going as Gooby has no Featherstorm. Blink just turned onto. Gooby's damage is enormous. He trade out though. The kill comes in. Perez trying to get the damage now onto Nilly, but Nilly not going to get caught yet as Domino desperately trying to salvage the situation that just went so wrong so quick.
And you can see Verdant just got frustrated. They couldn't find the engage just to punish the LeBlanc side laning. So they said, you know what? Screw it, guys. We're starting Baron and forcing you to fight us. Unfortunately, Wendell's engage gets cancelled. I believe he gets hooked out of his W, and Taxon might get picked.
He flashed. I mean, he stopped the bases. That actually might be worth his flash, because if Knighting can take this tower, that'll be worth it. Nobody's going to get there in time. They've got Snabby to try and clear the wave. I'm not so sure about this one.
Here comes the Nautilus. I don't think he's going to be able to get too much done, though, as you say. It's now Nita's turn to be the split pusher. Show Clover how it's done. That's... All in all, I think this is still okay for Verdant. Like, you get Nash, you lose 2. You go 2 for 1 there. Plus, you get that bot side tower. But, you know, you're basically trading towers there on different sides of the map. I think the big thing here is now that Nash is off the map. That's the important thing is now for Verdant. If us deciding how good that play was and whether it was worth really just depends on what Verdant does with this Baron now, because their push is so strong here with that Nash buff, and if you are pushing and you're able to do it effectively, and Domino doesn't have the answers, it's gonna pull Clover to try and defend. And if he's defending, he's not split pushing, and if he's not split pushing, he's not executing Domino's win condition. So, all in all, from this point here, while this Baron Buff is up, it could be really good. But Knight is in a lot of trouble here.
Oh, he does get himself a shield from the Hex Tech.
Oh my goodness!
And wow, what a turnaround! And this is the problem: is the Baron minions have that extra magic resist, so Clover doesn't have the ability to one-shot the wave anymore, which totally undoes the static shiv LeBlanc. We are seeing Taxa was thinking about trying to see if he can make a play on to Clover. Clover was able to survive it, as Wendell might find himself in a little bit of danger here. They've got the collapse on him. The chains do connect. No, that was just the Q. Jumps forward, gets a whole bunch of damage off the Horn, comes down, looking for the knock-up. Gooby being juggled about. There's the bot back. Absolutely huge by Taxa. Saving the day. Gooby was dead. If he hadn't hit Paras and Snabby there, Gooby was absolutely gone. But there is a flank coming in from Clover on the side lanes here, as he is going to be looking for Wendell. Is going to find himself caught by Taxa, but Taxa finds himself running away. They just get a little bit additional damage off as Verdant now. They've got to try and contest this dragon down their primary engage. They are going to throw down that carpet to try and get some damage off, as we do see Snabby land that hook onto one. Taxa loses his life. Clover comes over the wall looking for Nita. Nita has to flash away from the chase.
So
Nilly under fire. There is a fire back from the Feathers as Gooby is able to get himself the kill. Nilly will trade out, but look at the burn. Look at the damage. Gooby, can he save the day? I don't think he can. Domino coming up huge.
They're turning it back. This is it. This is the comeback for Domino. Those health bars were looking a little bit scary for Domino. If Verdant was just able to dedicate a little bit more, maybe they could win the fight, but they ran out of juice. Verdant died so early without Vendel, without your rail to set everything up. It's just not happening. And Clover, honestly, Clover, MVP so far of this game. Like, he's setting up so many plays. He's getting picks. He's putting pressure on the map. He's an absolute menace on this LeBlanc, and he's really, really bringing it to Verdant. And these guys are struggling. If they lose this game, like, you know, this is huge for Domino right here. Absolutely huge. I don't want to say we wrote them off before the game even started, but for these guys, it would be a massive upset. And Domino looking to secure the playoff spot here. This would be so big for them if they can pull out this W.
I think in a way we did, though. I think in a way we looked at the draft, we looked at the scores and the match histories, and I think we did. And Domino, this is the Domino that Aragon has been singing praises about for the whole split.
And it was this game where he was like, "Nah, it's doomed in draft."
Yeah, exactly.
See, this is it. You just got to stop the copium, and then they'll pick it up.
But to be fair, the copium came true. We hyped Clover's LeBlanc, saying he went 11-0 last week, and he's doing it again, right? He's not going to have the same KDA, but he's doing damn well. I really hope I'm not caster cursing this, because I was seeing a potential engage right there, but still, I'm really impressed. Take a look at bot side now. They're still pulling off the split push, and now they have to match, but Nita, he was losing the 1v1, right? So they're going to have to send multiple people, as Clover draws so much pressure, and now they can potentially look to stop resets.
Yeah, they sent 2 people to deal with Clover. He gets a lot of damage off, gets that extra little auto attack in. That was so cheeky to ping back for that one. But LeBlanc doing what LeBlanc does. Paras is caught for the moment, is trying to get away. The teleports are coming in. They're going to force Gooby's Featherstorm out early. Wendell's low HP. He goes down. The carpet is beautifully laid out, though, as they trade 1-for-1. Support for support. Clover has joined up with the rest of the team, and it's a 4 versus 4 now.
This is the problem, though, isn't it? If Clover's with the team, he's not. Yeah, he's not doing what he wants to do, but he might be able to get a pick here. They might be able to get a play. He's got chunked.
Perez almost gets himself caught. Clover's just going to heal up on the honey fruit. That's going to be Spooner going low. Massive Infernum coming down. Nita is caught by the chains. The ping back to dodge. Clover finds one. It's going to be a double picked up for Perez. They found an answer. 2 members either side are left. Clover and Perez. No ultimates available. They just need to get away. They need to reset. But Clover actually looking towards going towards the base. I don't think he can do this, though. It's going to force the reset out of one. Wendell's coming over. Clover's going to find himself in a flanked position here. This is going to be so dangerous for him. Takes the tower, looking towards the inhibitor. Gets the chains onto Nilly. He doesn't have the dash because he's used the chains onto Nilly. Clover gets 1 dash, gets 2 dashes. He's burning low. In comes Paras to try and save the day. Lands a slow onto Wendell. Clover dashes away, and he is out of there.
My goodness, what is this game? Oh, no! Red carpet, he's going to catch her and gets him! Oh my goodness, the burn, the demonic embrace just ticking away at Clover's health. Oh my goodness. That's Baron as well, by the way. Baron is up without Clover. Obviously, this is not just a 4v5, but this is your biggest like pressure point on the map now gone. It was really smart there by Wendell to hide in the wings, waiting for Rumble to respawn to get that catch. And it was perfect because Clover thought he was safe because Parrish was there. Parrish cleared walls, he cleared the blue buff. Like, there was no way he was going to get ganked from that side of the map. His jungler was there shadowing him, but still, within the shadows, Wendell found the way to get that collapse. They are going to pick up that Nash again. And really, this Baron buff is like the ultimate counter to Domino and their game plan in what they want to do. So this could be pretty big here. Just got to hold on if you're Domino, but Verdant, really smart play. Looking at in the driver's seat for now.
Yeah. Both teams going to make their way over to this dragon for sure. This is going to be third dragon soul for Verdant as they move into this river with that mid priority. Clover's a little bit late because he does now have TP. It looks like they're actually not going to even opt to contest it, but rather try to cross map top side, potentially secure that mark on that Krug camp. And say, you know what, guys, we're going to fight fourth Drake, despite that being extremely risky.
It does look like there is a potential siege here onto the base. Clover keeping the pressure up on the top side of the map. We'll just look to try and trade out that. Obviously, the Lich Bane, with everything in his kit, he's just going to be able to absolutely take through that. This wave is too big, though. And honestly, they might just close the game here. I don't think Clover can actually do this. He has to reset. Yeah, he's recognized that, and he's going to step away. That wave was too big. There's another wave crashing perfectly timed up here in the mid lane. 2 inhibitors are going to get traded out. And honestly, there's no real trade. There's no real answer here. Clover looks to try and get a little bit of damage off, but doesn't even break Lily's shield.
I think he should have stayed top, honestly. Like,
yeah.
The thing is, he recalls in case Verdant were looking to end the game. He wasn't ever going to be able... There was no world where he could defend those inhibitors. I think just a little bit of pressure, a little bit of, you know, scaredness coming through. Like, oh my goodness, these guys are absolutely melting our base. Quick, come help us. But yeah, obviously in the end, like, he builds up all that pressure. He gets a push on top. There was like at least 1 mini wave, but I think he maybe even sights on like 1.5, 2 mini waves, crashing into that inhib tower and top side. Like, he was in position to potentially, you know, take some inhib there or something in the top side, but doesn't get anything in the end of it here. And this is the power of the Baron buff. Like, you push so much faster. These empowered recalls as well mean that you've just got to be even more cautious if you're going for that split push. It is now Dragon Soul for Verdant as well. Got a lot of control of the map, a lot of control of the base. And it's difficult here for Clover with only 1 minion wave or one lane left that's in pieces here, which is his top side. It's now hard if he has to split push versus super minions. Makes it that much difficult and that much easier for Verdant to decide where they need to go.
TP coming teleporting in. They're looking for this is the final play. Taxa doesn't actually throw down the damage there. They try to clear out the wave, but it is just too big. The wave management has quickly crumbled here for the side of Domino, and all of their inhibitors are down. Their base is open, and it feels like the side lane condition has pretty much evaporated at this point. Baron's still on for a little bit more on the side of Verdant as they're desperately trying to push forward. It's going to have to be one hell of a fight from Domino if they're going to be able to hold on, if they're going to find their opportunity back into this game. Clover is looking for that angle, does just go forward, tries to get a little bit of damage off the static shift, proccing it on all of the team. Slowly but surely, just trying to take a little bit of HP, but immediately gets caught out by the Q there, as there's the Moonlight Vigil, throws down a little bit wide. The Featherstorm actually did come out as well in response by Gooby. They find the knock-up onto a couple of members. Clover is boxed back, though. There's the Feathers coming down. The carpet's laid. Blink has to do everything. He's on his lonesome. The Lamb's Respite has bought him some time, but it also buys time for Verdant in response. Clover's getting jumped onto. He's going to jump away to safety. He's somehow out of there as Blink is finding his opportunity. Blink is popping off. Gooby goes down. A triple kill to Blink. And Domino, they're not done.
And he just finds the perfect angle to find that, finally, the front-to-back composition that they've drafted. Blink can hit because there are no threats left. Gooby at the start of the fight gets his ult pop for free. And in the end, they just have no AD carry, and Blink is left a free hit. He manages to take everyone down. But now, what can they do with it? And the reality is nothing. All they can do is push out these lanes, the double super minions in every single lane, and hopefully buy enough time for the next front-to-back team fight. And maybe, if they win that, they could do more.
They want the mark. This will be the 9th mark here for Parrish. Just picking that one up. He'll be having to take that. Also take away a red buff too. All good stuff here. And you know, you mentioned this combo here, Aragon, between Rel and
Rumble.
Rel Rumble. Yeah, and that's precisely what happened there. It was gross. It was hideously disgusting, just grouping everyone up and laying that red carpet down. But man, the Lamb's Respite, the Kindred ulti, just completely nullifies it. You know, like they were all just instantly dying, and I was like, oh my goodness, Kindred's going to die without using ult. This is going to be it. This is the game. But he managed to just about get it off, and it buys them enough time there that they are, you know, that Domino's able to kind of reset a little bit there, pump out some damage, and take that fight more an even kill. I think this Kindred pick is kind of like a sleeper OP against this combo here with Rumble and Rel. It's working really well in these team fights.
Well, here's also some big news as well. Blink has finished his final item. He also has the ornament, so he's basically an item and a half above Gooby, who's just sitting on a broken stopwatch in that final inventory spot. So definitely now the power actually in favor of Domino. It's still scary when you have to think about the Rel Rumble combo, but like you said, Lamb's Respite, really powerful tool to buy that time, and it bought so much time for Blink just to kind of ramp up the damage and be able to kind of finalize and close out that fight. Baron is spawning up, though, in 18 seconds, and Domino, because they've been doing minion trimming for the last couple of moments, they've not actually had the opportunity to set up any real vision around the Baron. They've got a couple of wards placed down, but it's very hard for them to really control that area when they're dealing with 6 super minions per wave. Now, bot side has despawned. Teleport's coming in. They're going to look for it, but there is a teleport on Nita and Nilly, and a super wave in the base. This is really scary. This has to be the fight they start immediately. The Ornhorn comes down. Spooder looking for the knockup, only lands it onto one, unfortunately, and they have to make this fight work. The longer it goes, the more damage the minions are going to do. Wendell loses so much HP. They're teleporting in. The chain's going to stop one, but not the other, and this may just be the game for Verdant. Domino getting pulled apart in the final moments. The teleport coming in. Can they stop Nilly? Spooder teleports in, tries to hold the wave, but it's such a big one. Clover's back. He's got the static. He's got the damage onto the wave, but he can't finalize it. The Nexus is open. Domino hold on to the game, but that grip is so loose.
What is going on? This is the first game of the day. We're to ease into things here. I'm not ready for this. This is insane. Honestly, the call from Verdant there and the chains to stop Jace's TP saves the game there from Clover. Oh my goodness. It is going to be the Dragon Soul taking over alongside the Nash for Verdant in a very, very controlled state here. But it's just... my heart cannot take this game, honestly. Imagine, like, I'm a neutral in this one as well. Any Domino fans here must be absolute just... I can't even begin to imagine what's going through their brains
out
right
in their
here.
chair.
Yeah,
No,
honestly, if any of them are still conscious at this point, well done. You're doing great. It's, oh god, what an insane game.
The big problem that Domino have is they just have no one who can face check, and it's just so hard in general versus this combo, right? That if by some miracle Blink goes untouched by the Rumble Rel combo, and then he can finally hit, sure, that's great, but usually the team's dead by then because they've been comboed as they're face checking. You know, Spooder isn't that tanky, right? Spooder's itemized a Warmog. It's not inherently the most tanky item to absorb poke, right, and heal back up. So he's going to still get blown up, and you could see that as they try to enter this river. And I imagine now the final fight is coming, guys. Let's see how Domino maybe pull off this front-to-back fight.
Yeah, this is really on Domino. They need to stop all the inhibitors going down because all they're doing is staving off the time. In comes the Ornhorn, knocks up onto 2. Snabby throws down the depth charge, forcing out the Feather Storm. Actually, he saved the depth charge, finds the knock up of the multiple men. The stopwatch comes out. Wendell gets the Magnet Storm combo off.
So good.
Instantly finding a kill onto one, but look at the damage coming out from Blink. He finds the turnaround, nearly loses a whole bunch of HP. Blink goes low. Lamb's Respite's thrown down a little bit too early there as Blink can't get the damage down. He flashed away from it, and he is finalized. He is finished up as Verdant will close this game out. What a nail biter of a game one.
Absolute nail biter. You could see in that last fight as well, Blink just could not auto. We're probably not going to get a replay, which is super sad, but I couldn't count how many times Blink autoed there because it wasn't many. He was just getting sniped by the red carpet, sniped by Jace, and in the end, he just couldn't walk up because he had to flash away from engagers.
That was ridiculous. Like, he was very strong. The Felix was very, very strong, but the Domino team comp did not have ways to enable or protect him, right? They had some frontline, but, you know, not a lot in the ways of actual supportiveness to kind of create space for him and just enable him to right-click in those team fights. But that game was absolutely insane. But well played to Verdant for holding on. This is the problem, right? When you're playing versus like one of the best teams in the league, just any little thing they'll take it from you and they'll make you suffer. And yeah, well tried by Domino. It was a fantastic game.
Absolutely. And another thing I wanted to like talk about here, because you kind of bring us up here, right? But the kind of the composition set up, and I want to hear your thoughts on this as well, Hitbrain. We start looking into some, like, we saw a lot of 4-1s going on this game, right? Like LeBlanc in a side lane. I know you are a LeBlanc enjoyer yourself, so kind of like we got to see Clover really have a great game. But like, what was needing from what did he need to do here to like fully put this game on his back to a certain extent?
Honestly, I think Clover played that game almost as well as he could have. I think there was obviously a few mistakes for coming out. There was a couple of keychains that maybe could have resulted in picks, but then could have go into something else. But they're the kind of what ifs. If you hit this ability, what had happened? I think, you know, honestly, that TP back or that recall back on that top lane play, in hindsight, probably was a mistake. In the heat of the moment, was probably the right call, because you don't know. If they had two massive waves barrened up pushing into the base, you really don't know how that's going to go down. And there's a world where he doesn't TP back and his team get engaged on and then lose that fight, and then Clover hasn't recalled in time. So that's one of those big what if moments. I think it's really hard to call. I think, honestly, Clover played that game really, really well. I just think the Rel and the Rumble combo was so potent, and that game really didn't come down to like big mistakes. It was the little things, like Blink, like the Lamb Respite going down on Blink as Blink Gale forces out, meant he didn't get the heal, he didn't get the survivability in that final fight, so then he goes down immediately after. It's all those little things, right? It was a game of very small mistakes, but genuinely separated that, and I'm happy to see that, because I didn't expect Domino Verdant to be that close.
I'm actually disappointed that you're talking about a player called Blink and you say all the little things instead of all the small things. Come on.
Oh no!
Come on, mate. That's right. I'm gonna go to the interview here because we have Taxer on the line, the jungler of Verdant here. So, first of all, a banger of a game. I think that's safe to say. It must have been super hectic to be a part of.
Yeah, it was a crazy late game we ran into. I think no one was expecting that, and we just played without TPs, and there was a lot of interesting gaming, but we got the win, so I'm happy.
A lot of interesting gaming here, right? And I think that something that was kind of wild for me, right, was that it looked like you kind of had Blink dead to rights in one of those few fights before you start going into taking 2 inhibitors and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he just like goes 200 years of game design experience on you with Aphelios, right? Like that was such a crazy game, and I kind of want to look at this in the grander scheme of things now, because you guys do have the head-to-head versus natives in terms of getting a first place finish overall in the standings. So how are you guys feeling about securing that tomorrow?
I mean, we just take it one game at a time. It's our last game tomorrow. We play our game and hopefully we will win. If enemy plays super good tomorrow, maybe we will lose, then we'll take it from there.
So one of the things we kind of noticed from you guys, right, was that over the course of the season, you guys have kind of given up a little bit too much space in the early game to teams that you guys maybe have seen, but kind of perceived as being worse than you, or like weaker teams compared to yourself. And do you think that you guys are kind of working towards not letting that happen anymore?
Yeah, I think there's been some aggressive gameplay that has caught us off guard. We've gotten punished, and we're learning from that. We're making small mistakes, and we get punished, so that's nice. And I mean, we've been improving throughout the split. We still make mistakes. That's what happens when you play as a team. Like, yeah, it will keep happening. We just have to adapt in the situation and play well from there.
Before I let you go, do you have any final things that you want to say to the people?
Just thanks for watching. I've been in the scene for a long time. I appreciate everyone watching, and I want to shout out to Danskman and his wife. They got married today, so congratulations to them.
Congratulations to them, yeah, indeed. Thank you so much for your time, Taxer, and best of luck tomorrow as well.
Thank you. Bye.
And with that, we're going to go to a quick interview as well here with Pride coming through from the opposite side of the field. Hello, Pride. You're in a very fancy gaming setup. What is this?
Well, this is Domino headquarters, our facility in Fredrikstad, Norway.
Awesome, love to see it. I think that looks fantastic, actually.
It is.
Happy to see
like
that. Yeah, on the wall and everything, right? Fantastic. So this game was also a fantastic game to watch as a neutral, but I assume it was a super intense watch for you, being on the Domino side of things.
Yeah, it was fun because didn't expect it to be this long. We thought maybe we had the game at some point because Verdant only had a 2k gold lead and it didn't accelerate at all throughout the game. But I think Verdant got a bit lucky on some things that, for example, the Rel didn't get spotted on when LeBlanc went for the inhib and such.
Yeah.
And I think if a few things are a little bit different, I think we come out with a win there because, Verdant had a hard time answering the LeBlanc and other stuff.
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things now, this puts a bit of a stick in the wheel, so to say, for your playoff hopes potentially. Right now, you have an important match tomorrow, I believe, as well, against Nord tomorrow as well, right?
It's versus Nord tomorrow. I think that's...
that's going to be super important, no?
Yeah, that one is the most important for this week. I think the Verdant one is for bragging rights, but versus Nor, it's, if Nor wins, they are secured. If we win, I don't know if it's a tiebreaker or we go over because it's second round. That I'm a bit unsure. But if we win versus Nor tomorrow, we're either equal, depending if they win versus Vanir, or we're over if Vanir wins. And Vanir won last time, I believe, so praying for our Norwegian friends there.
Praying that Vanir do you guys a solid here. I'll say thank you so much for your time, and best of luck tomorrow, and hopefully you get to talk to you again soon.
Lucks for losers.
Okay, that's a statement for sure. Meanwhile, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be having more action from the NLC as Nord takes on Vanir.